Okay. All right. So just a second. Let me connect my microphone again. It's connected. Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that. My microphone is having an issue. So, all right. Okay. Let me go back to where I was. So as I was saying, for those who are watching the video, I apologize for that. We talked about sorting, filtering, and adding conditions to queries on MongoDB in our last class, and today is going to be a continuation. We're going to be continuing on queries on MongoDB, and as I was saying, we're going to be having our focus on regular expressions. In our last class, we were able to see so many ways that we could add conditions in queries. We could check for if a price of, for example, a price of something is greater than or less than, or you could check if you have maybe like something in something. And one of the questions that came up from last class is, hey, someone asked us like, hey, what if I want to check for something? We saw in the last class that if you're trying to check for if a name or an item or something exists in something and you specify it using a particular name, if the name is not an explicit match to what you are trying to look for, you will not find it. And as a result, some of those conditions failed. Okay, some of those conditions failed. For example, you're trying to look for an iPhone, and in your database, your iPhone is spelled with a small letter I and a capital letter P. But when you are trying to query the database, your condition you are placing in, you are saying a capital letter I and a small letter P. It's not going to find that. So because of things like that, we have some new things called regular expressions, and regular expressions are a way to modify the queries you want to add so that you can find things you want to look for. And come on, it's going to be an exciting class. So that's what we're going to look at. And as I have now a new policy of less talk, less write up, more code. So let's go straight into the work for today. Right. Okay, so I'm going to be reviewing what we've done in the database, and we've pretty much changed a couple of things on the database. So I'm just going to put this out there for the purpose of those who will be joining us. And first, I would say we've moved over from using const and require to using import statements. And believe you me, using import statements could really be a drag a lot of times when you're working with things as for example, you're working with React, or you're working with TypeScript. Most times they compile down, they have a compiler that compiles down, they have Babel, for example, that compiles down from the language to, from JSX, for example, to JavaScript ES3, from TypeScript to JavaScript ES3. And that makes it, a whole lot easier for you to use import statements, because they will be converted, using a compiler and Babel. They will be converted to what the code base easily understands. But however, here in Node.js, plain backend, no TypeScript, no compilers, Babel, you may sometimes have challenges. So for over a good amount of time, I think I can say that using import statement has become a lot more stable, because it's been more of an experimental, but right now it's become a lot more stable. So let's give it a try. Let's see how it goes, and where we have issues, we could also look together at how to resolve them. So the first thing you need to change if you want to use import statements instead of your common JS as required is common JS, and the import statement is ES6 model or ES model, is you need to include this in your package JSON. It's not usually there. You meet your package JSON on initialization like this. So you need to include the type, saying the type is module. So this tells it that, yes, you're going to be using import statements. And if you don't include this, then by default, it's going to be set to using common JS, where you have to use require. And you don't use the two of them together. You don't use import and still have require in your code. So that's one of those things that you need to change. Another thing you need to change is when you are importing a file, a lot of times when you import a file in common JS, it's aware that it's a JS file, and most times it appears like this. Okay, so most times it appears like this, and without the .js, this is not going to work. So let me first of all sort out any code issue that may be a challenge. Let me look if I have any code issue that may be a challenge. Let me just comment this out. Let me just comment this out. Okay, let me just put this up. Let me just put this up and then run. Okay, so let me just put this up and run this, so you can see what you may find as a challenge. So as you can see here, it's saying, did you mean to import this? Okay, and if I was to go back to try to look at this here, the difference in what it's showing me here is it's showing me, okay, maybe you need to go, like out of this current folder. And if I do that, it still cannot find it. And what is it saying? Okay, so it still cannot find this because it's not there. So what is missing here is you not including the .js, because now you always need to add the .js so it knows what type you're dealing with. And now you see things are beginning to run. So when doing that conversion, sometimes you just use the what do I call this now? You just use the option that comes here saying convert, and when you click this, most times this doesn't change along, so you need to note this in case you are finding that issue. Just put the .js at the end. So that's one. Then another thing I would say could be an issue is sometimes some of this packages don't properly destructure out. So normally, yeah, I would have done I don't need joy, for instance. I would have done something like I want the object and I want the string. Okay, so instead of me using joy now, let me just delete everything together. So where I have joy and full stop, let me just delete everything together. So here I could have done this, and this string method which I need, I could have also destructured it out from joy, which because I don't have any other thing here that needs joy. But the challenge here is that this doesn't work. Okay, this doesn't work, and it says that when you are using common modules, okay, common JS modules, you can do that, easily. But when you are using these methods, you need to import the package and then you destructure it out of the package. So while it works if you are using React on the front end, you could just do this and destructure just what you need out of it. Here, it doesn't quite work like that, and as such, it's not advisable. Okay, it's not advisable. So let me just put things back to the way to where. So let's just say joy. Okay, just because I like it a capital letter, and or wanted to structure, no, I don't want it to structure anything out. I just want to say joy.objects, okay, joy.objects, and where I have strings, I want to go in front of it and say joy. This. Let's see if everything is up and running now. All right, so everything is up and running now. So the same challenge you could also face in a model. Okay, so the same challenge you could also face in a model. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm importing Mongoose from Mongoose, and then I'm structuring it out for Mongoose. So while this will work pretty fine here in React and in TypeScript, it doesn't quite work fine here, so you have to first of all destructure a package app before you use it. So that's some of the changes that I've made here, just to let us walk through and experience it in this way. Now, another thing I've made in preparation for this class is in our last class we had like so many methods we looked at in terms of sorting, filtering, and querying. So if you missed last class, you can see that there's a whole lot you missed. So please go over the video and watch. Okay, so go over the video to try to watch and see what you missed and what you need to learn. So going over here in this class, today we're going to be using this regex. So while this is just calling a function, I think I can close every other thing here. So let me just minimize every other thing here, collapse them. So don't disturb me. So we still have the update method. We still have this. Okay, so while we're going to work with this basically is just picking out the query. Okay, so we're defining query just like we had in the filter method, and we want to put the query in there. And I still want to use the sorting method just to sort it according to price, just to have some order. Okay, I just want to have things ordered so it's easy for me to read. Okay, so that's that. And then if you're still having challenges using import statement, that's not big deal. Okay, there's nobody going to penalize you for using require. Okay, so long as your syntax works on everything. But if you want to switch over to import statement and you're still having issues, we can talk about it and help review your code together so you can get import statement to work on your own side. So here we have basically just the same items, just the regular item but find, and we want to sort this out. And then one more thing I would like to add is here, what we've been doing up to now is we've been using diff.now to set the default. And basically this only just tags along the date that an object was created in a database. So what I want to do now is I want to include what's called a timestamp in Mongoose. And the timestamp is a default method that comes with, there is an option that comes with, creating a schema. And if you use that, it has two methods, the create at and created at and what's this showing? Okay, so created at and it has the created at and the updated at method. So here it's going to be after you have already defined the schema here, okay? You then want to add an additional condition where I'll just say timestamp. So here you can see there's time series, there's buffer, and there's timeout. So it's timestamp we're using, and you just setting it to true. And if you set it to true, and you it should be this. So if you set it to true, this will automatically include a created at and updated at condition with the time. Okay. So right now we're not including time or anything whatsoever, but if we do this, it's going to automatically include this. Okay, it's going to automatically include this. So I think there's one more page I should share, or do I need to share? Okay, let me just create a new item. I just want to create a new item and include some things in the item. So, okay, let me see. So let me include let me include Postman so you can see. All right. So I want to create a new item. It's going to be a post method. So create a new item, localhost, localhost for 5,000, localhost for 5,000, and API slash items, and things into it like name, description, category, initial price, number, and stock. Okay, so let me just copy this from here. Let me just copy this from here, and there I'll modify it to raw and JSON. All right, so let me just include this. So okay, so I'll just call this one 4K monitor. So I'll just call this one 4K. Let's say maybe say Dell for monitor. All right, so description black monitor, and let me add some more zeros so that no, that's too much. We just add some more zeros. Okay, to this, and yeah. So if I was to create this item, you see this is all I'm adding here, but after this, it then has a created at which will exactly match the updated at because I haven't updated this. But in the model, at any point in time I update this, it's going to then have the created at still the same, but the updated at is going to change. So at every point in time, you can track updates. That's the purpose of the timestamp, and that works fine. All right, so this is just one addition that I want to add to what we've done so far, just for the benefit of your knowledge. So let's go over into today's work. All right, let's go over into today's work. So today we're going to be continuing with regex and regular expression, and I would like to start by let us have an overview of what exactly regex is. Okay, so let's have an overview of what is regex. That's where I would like to start. What exactly is regex? So, I would like to do this in the browser. I would like to do this in the browser. Let me see. I'd like to do this in the browser, but let me have the browser up. Okay. Let me have a browser open and do this in the browser. All right, so where is all right. All right. Okay, so first of all, can somebody confirm to me that you can see Chrome browser up? Delight, could you confirm that you can see
Yes,
the browser?
yes, I can see your browser.
Okay, great. All right, great. All right, so let's get busy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. I'm going to share like some things we're going to work on today, and we'll then test it out in the browser. So we'll look at them. I'll then test it out in the browser. So first off, I would like to start by definition. What exactly is regex? And to do justice to that, let's just say you can Google out what regex is, and honestly, to tell you the truth, when you look at what regex looks like, it looks like some really confusing term. Okay, so I'd like to open that, or I've already left that page. So let's see what regex is as based on what Wikipedia describes it, and we will then look into how it is used in MongoDB. So regex is shortened as regex, a regular expression, refers to a rational expression and is a sequence of characters that specify a search pattern. Okay, so the purpose of regex, as we see, is for searching. Okay, for searching. So that's the main purpose. And you are specifying or describing the search pattern you want to use. So usually search patterns are used by string searching algorithms to find and replace operations. So if you want to find something, maybe find and delete, find and update, find and replace, or every kind of query that you want to use in a search, that's where regex comes in. So regular expressions are basically used for you defining the pattern you want to search, and there are like different ways or standards. So there's a POSIX standard, and then there's a Perl standard, and if you check into that later, many a times MongoDB uses something following the Perl pattern or the Perl syntax. So you could get more into those details later. So how would we describe regex? Okay, how would we describe regex? Well, I haven't been to this page before, but let's say it's trying to look for a match. Okay, so it's trying to look for a match for something, and there are ways that it is described. Okay, so there are ways that it is described. So here they are showing you how to. I think I put this. Let me put this in the chat just in case, but you can always just search for it as regular expressions and or regex, and look for the version that has NDN web docs. So something you can easily search for. So there are ways in which you can describe a regex. So one of it is by what you want to put as a regular expression. You could use this expression literals, which are 2 forward slashes. So you lock them up in 2 forward slashes, so 1 and 2. So that is one way. Or the second way is for you to use the new. So you are using the new, and then you say regex. This is JavaScript syntax. I hope you know that. So you can use new reg express, and putting what string that you want into that. So that's one way to do that. And this looks simple and easy. I don't like having to use the new keyword just for regular expressions. So basically, there are different patterns as you would see. So when you begin to see things like this, you're going to see things like this, and see things like this. A lot of times it could be overwhelming, especially when you don't know what they mean. So there are generally like different things or aspects of what regular expressions are. So you have them for assertion, you have character classes, group and ranges, quantifiers, and then Unicode property escapes. So let's look at assertions. Now, assertions include boundaries which indicate the beginning and ending of lines. Okay, so they indicate the beginning and ending of lines and words, and other patterns indicated in some way that a match is possible. So you have look ahead, you have look behind, and conditional expressions as we will see today. Then you have character classes. So this is used to distinguish different types of characters. So you can distinguish between if a character is a letter or if it's digits from 0 to 9, or if it's a letter. Then you can also choose cases, like if it's capital letter, small letter. Then you have groups and ranges. So this indicates groups and ranges of expressions. You have quantifiers indicating numbers of characters. So in cases where you want to specify things like, okay, we should use regex when we move into authentication, dealing with creating passwords and that we should look into regex. So at that point, going over it in this class is just a precursor to when we will use it in our next class. So you might want to quantify, for example, this individual or the password strength maybe the password strength should have at least 8 characters, or it should have at least 16 characters, as you will see in basically in crypto world. You see they want you to have a password strength of maybe like 16 characters. And then you shouldn't only have 16 characters, you should have maybe a lowercase letter, you should have an uppercase letter, you should have a digit, you should have a special character. So all those things are things that you use regular expressions. So regular expressions will go through what the individual or what you are trying to check, and check if it matches. So you can check if it matches for the instance of this must have all these things that I am defining here, or you can check to find if it has at least one of these things you are defining here. So there are many ways that you can use regular expressions, and believe you me, as a backend developer, you're going to need it. So beyond what we could cover in this class, do yourself the good of learning it, going further into it. Then you have a Unicode property escape. So Unicode properties escape, like you want to escape a punctuation. For example, you are dealing with maybe a comma separated, CSV files where you have comma separated variables, and you want to escape the comma, okay? Or maybe you have some other things. So in this case here, you can distinguish between Unicode characters, for example, upper and lower case, math, symbols, and all punctuation. So that's where this comes in. So let me just go on and see if they have explanations for this. So here they've listed special characters in regular expressions. Here you have the characters and the constructs, and then you have the corresponding articles. So here this is for character class. This is for assertion. You want to check. So like, for example, this is checking if maybe a particular, string starts with something you are checking, or if it ends with something, or if maybe like you have something that has maybe something that's following. We'll see them today. So these are assertions. Then you have group ranges also. You have quantifiers, and there's so much. And I think they have examples. So let me just check if they have examples. Let me use assertions, see if they have examples. So if they have examples, I'll be proud, I'll be happy. At least you have some material resource that you can go back to. Okay, yeah, so yeah, they have I don't think they listed examples. No. Did they this example is even looking confusing anyway, but yeah. So today we'll look at it simplistically, and then after that you can come over here to check it. You can come over here to check it out. So at least from what you learned from today's class, you should be able to very well understand the examples that we give. So let's go into today's class. So let's go into today's class. So in defining a query parameter, we saw in our last class, based on our setup, that our query for this, for example, where we had where we wanted to do something, we defined the query outside. Where's the query? We define the query we wanted. For example, here we have the name we're looking for is iPhone, and let me just copy this so that I'll show you how regular expressions can come to the rescue. So here we have here the constant query, and we are looking for iPhone, and here all of this is lowercase. Okay, and forget about the numbers, but all of this is lowercase. So if I brought this here, let me just collapse this. So if I brought this here into regex and say, hey, this is my new query, okay, and comment this one out and save this position. So I want you to query now, as we saw in our last class, for where we have iPhone 13. So this is up, and let me be sure the browser is up. So here, here, off, and here. So this has already been set up. Okay, so this has already been set up. As you will see here, I have it set up in the routes. Okay, I have this set up in the routes, and it's pointing at regex. Okay, so it's pointing at regex just in case I imported the regex and I'm using it here, so just in case, so you're not confused. So here I'm going to localhost API items /regex, and first of all, I want to go straight to everything that exists. Okay, so I want to see all the items that exist on the database, and I like this here. So I want all the items that exist on the database, so you can see them. So I'm using this because it's the get method, and this helps me to easily check how many items are returning. So that's why I'm using the browser for this. So here I have about 22 items, and here I have iPhone 13. And as you can see, the iPhone I is in capital letter, the P is in capital letter. But when I'm checking for it in regex, it's going to tell me, yes, my search was right. Okay, that's why you see success. This was not failure on what I was doing. However, there are no items based on what I'm saying as a match. Okay, so there are no items. So this already tells us that our search is case sensitive. So how do we turn our search from being case sensitive to becoming case insensitive? So this is using this method. So what I'll just do is I'll put this like this. Yeah, so this becomes a regular expression, and I'm going to have the I. So this I here, after it comes from a regular expression. Okay. Okay, so this I here comes from regular expression, and this is going to allow me to be able to check for it case insensitively. So running this now, I can search for iPhone 13, and even though what I put in, okay, even though what I put in here is in small letters, you can see that easily this goes and it works, and it is case case insensitive. So by this, just adding this aspect here, this deals with the case sensitivity that we were looking at. So I'm going to do this again just for demo purposes, and here I'm going to. Okay, I don't think I need to work with Postman any longer. So here I'm going to fetch all the items, and I'm showing you here. These are all the items. I don't think I ever need to reload this. So these are all the items that are available. And if I was to search for Apple, here with Apple in capital A or small a, it doesn't matter. Okay. So if I was to check for Apple in capital or small a, this is capital now, and if I go here, search for it, it returns Apple, and yes, fine. I'm not doing any regex here. If I return in small a also, waiting for this, okay, all right. So if I do this also, it also works fine, all right? So this deals with case insensitivity issue that we talked about. So there are two ways in which we can define our query parameters. So we can do our query parameters just like this by saying name is equals to, and then putting these slashes as we've seen in my brief explanation, that this here is what introduces your regex form. So this is what says this is your pattern. Then another way that you can do this is by you using this. So you can do this way. So let me just have a comment here that says, let me just have a comment here that says case insensitive. Okay, so case insensitive. Okay, so this is for case insensitive. And here now, you could also decide to, let me just duplicate this. Okay, so you could also decide to have your query. You also decide to have your query be in a different form. So here you can say name, and in MongoDB, you have also a regex, should I say a regex operand, okay? So you have a regex operand or expression or property that allows you to be able to define what it is that you want to define here in it. So let's say, for example, I'm looking for iPhone, for example, iPhone 13. And I'm using this right now in the proper case without including the case insensitivity now. Okay. Now, if I was to do that in the regex function here, it gives me all the iPhone elements here. And then if I was to then go case insensitive, for example, and wait for this to run. Okay. If I was to do this, it's not going to be able to find it because this regex here is only just you specifying what regex operation you want to use. Okay, so this is only to specify it. So here you would then still need to do this. So here I'm just going to include what pattern I want. This is called a pattern. Okay, as you see here, this is called a pattern. And then you have options that can be added. So here, this is the pattern, and here these are the options that you can add. So in this is straight up from MongoDB. So here you can include the pattern you want. So this I here is what allows for the case insensitivity that you want here. So let me just show you that works. So for the time basis, either way, if you are doing this directly as this, or you are doing this including the regex just to specify what you're looking at, both of them work. Both of them work for the basis of what you want to do. However, using this other one allows you the opportunity of including options where you want to include options. So this other one, you then can tag along an options method in cases where you need it. So whichever one depends on what you want to implement. So I'm going to be going to MongoDB. Okay, so I'm going to go to MongoDB so that we can go over MongoDB's regex manual. So I'm going to provide that for you. You can easily follow up on what MongoDB has to offer. They are showing you how we should work with regex, and you can do that by just typing regex MongoDB in the search query, and you see them. So MongoDB has this regex property, and it takes in the pattern and if provided the options. So there are different ways in which you can put that there. And so what are the patterns? The patterns are the regular expressions itself. Okay, so there are some specific regular expressions. So here you have case insensitivity to match upper and lower case. For example, let me try this out. Or if it's just going back to the same page. Okay, so while that is loading, you also have, okay, I think this is just returns to the bottom of the page. Okay, so just returns to the bottom of the page. Okay, so probably just returns to the bottom of the page. So I'm just going to so it goes back to, yeah. All right, just scrolls down. So here we have here that this is what you are searching in. Okay, so this is like just as we are searching in the name. Okay, this is the document we are searching in now. The name, the property is on the database using the name. Then the regex now is what you want to find in it. Okay, so that's just how it works. So here you have what property or document you want to check in the collection. And then this is the regular expression. So here we have different things that you can tag along to your regular expression. And some of them, they will just be adding all of them together here. So I would like that we go over them one by one. Okay, so we see how they work. But if they're not introducing them here, then I'll just introduce some of them. Okay, so here we have, okay, they're not quite introducing them here. So let me just go over some of them. So this here deals with case, insensitive. So to make it case insensitive. So the next one we want to look at is stats. Okay, so we want to say it starts with something. We want to check in the name for something or like a name, okay, an item that has a name that starts with something. So let's just use I, for instance. So I'm going to do this, and let me just include the carrot. Okay, so this is called the carrot, and I want to look for something that starts with I. Okay, so here I'm using capital letter, and I want to look for something that starts with I. So I will say this is starts with. Okay, so starts with. All right. So this is starts with. Let me put this here, I, and let me put this here. How do I describe this now? Let me use this. Okay, and let me use this here. Okay, as an example. So let's say ABC starts with ABC, and here how it's used, or let's say ABC, for instance. So this is case insensitive. Let me just put ABC case insensitive, and then this is how you use for it to start with something. All right. So back to our regex. So we're going to see all the items that start with I. So here we have Infinix, we have iPhone, we have iPhone, and all of this starts with I. So that's the reason why they're popping up here. So everything that starts with I. So let's look for something that is a little different. Okay, so here we have I, and we don't need to only have I. You can say, let's say IN, so that all these iPhones go out. Okay, so let's say IN. Okay, so let's say IN, so all the iPhones go out. Okay. All right, so all the iPhones go out because they don't start with IN, they start with IP. And if we were to say IP, for instance, and this is in small letter, you are not going to find iPhone, you're not going to get anything because the iPhone, starts with capital P, or rather the iPhone we saved starts with capital P. So you see there are no items. So in this case, you might want to tag along multiple options. So here I'm going to tag along, okay, so I'm just going to comment this one out. And I'm going to say here combining, okay, so I'm going to say combining starts with, and case insensitive. Okay, so case insensitive, like this. Okay, so here you see, let's just say A, B, C, like this for starts with, like this, and for case insensitive, just include the I at the end. So I'm going to do this and include I at the end. So it doesn't matter if the I is capital or small, it doesn't matter if P is capital or small, and this will automatically change that. So this will automatically change the starts with and that. So yes, we have all the iPhones here, and it doesn't matter if they start or end with that. Okay, so that is so most times regular expressions are a combination of multiple patterns. That is the reason why they look intimidating. Okay, that's the reason why they look intimidating. So they are a combination of multiple patterns. So this is us identifying them, what builds up to what does what, and then later on begin to look at multiple patterns and how they are combined to see what is done. Okay, so all right, so let's go on now. So I want to continue. Okay, I want to take this. So let me comment this out and let's look at ends with. Okay, so ends with is ends with. So ends with is basically you having the regular expression, and let's say for example ends with ABC. You add a dollar sign at the end. So this dollar sign at the end, for the purpose of this class, I'm just going to include. I'm going to leave this I here. Okay, I'm just going to leave this I here, so just to help us escape the case insensitivity. Just for that. So here starts with is this, and ends with is you have, like for example ABC, and you include this to define what you want it to end with. So let's check our database for what we have and what we like it to end with. Okay, so let's say TCH. Okay, so ends with TCH. And let's run that. Okay, so let's run that here. Okay. All right, so here we have watch, and watch. Okay, so we have all the things that end with watch, watch, and watch. So that gives us what ends with, and here I just tagged along the additional case sensitivity, so that we don't deal with that. We don't have to deal with that. All right. Now, apart from us looking at starts with and ends with, there may be times where you want to specify the case sensitivity just for the start of something, and you want to, like, maybe you have an option or something. Okay, so right now I'm beginning to build up into chaining methods. Okay, I'm trying to build up into how regex are chained, the patterns are chained together, because you will see this, and honestly, that's what makes regex looks intimidating. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how you can turn on and turn off certain patterns. Okay, so let me just say turn on and turn case insensitive sensitive on and off. Okay, like so. And let me just move this here. Okay, so I'm going to move this here so you can see the basis, and take this here. All right. Okay, so how you can do that is, let's say for example, you want to turn it on and off. So here I'm going to use this. I'm going to use a string. Okay, so I'm going to put it on a string, and this is already regex. So regex knows that this is a regular expression. That's the purpose of regex. If you were to do this in this form, you would have to include this, and you could have some confusion there. Okay, so to do this now, let's say I want to target, let me see, what do we target? Let's say I want to target iPhone. Okay, let's target iPhone because we have capital letter in two places here. So let's target iPhone. All right. So let's say I want to turn the expression on. So I'm going to use the question mark, and the question mark and the pattern I want to use. Okay. And when I do this, I'm then going to include the part I want to be case sensitive. So it's just a challenge that we have only iPhone. So this I here is not for this I here is not for the case sensitive. It's just for the iPhone. And here you can then turn it off, the part you want to turn off. So you have then the question and minus what pattern you want to turn off. Okay, so now I'm turning it off. I can then say phone 113. And if I do this, it's not going to find iPhone because the P here is case sensitive. So first of all, let me put the P on this side. So for the first IP, let it be insensitive. And then afterwards, let it be case sensitive. It doesn't matter. So I'm turning case sensitive on only for these two cases. And here you can go off. That's what this is saying. So let's give this a shot and it should work. All right, so this works, and it shows us that we have iPhone. Okay, so iPhone, and just to be sure that it's actually working, let me put the P on this side where it is off. Okay, so I'm going to put the P on this side where it is off, and let's wait for it to connect. Wait for connected. So let's run this, and you see it shouldn't work. Okay, so yes, it doesn't work because after it, you have the P, which is the iPhone. You have the P, which is capital, and it can't find something else that has that. So that's the purpose. Okay, so let me put P here, and you see. So this is how you could turn on the case sensitive and the case insensitive. You turn it on and off at will, and that is for regular expressions. So at this point, I think we could look into MongoDB to see what other options MongoDB has for us. So let's just check the manual. So here you have case sensitive, yes, you have and this here it says for patterns that include anchor. This anchor here is, as we've seen, to check from the start, and this is check from the end. And then it says match at the beginning or end of line for strings with multiple values, multiple line values. Okay, so in cases where you have multiple line values, that's where you use this as an option. And then here, extended capability, where you have white space characters, and then you have S, okay, and where you have allows the dots to match characters, including new line characters. And so for this, we currently don't have multi-line characters in our database based on what we've worked on. So probably when we get into like things that have multiple line characters, maybe then we'll use that. Okay, so let us see. This starts. Okay, this starts, and this is used to just check everything else. Let us see. Not really seeing. Okay. Here you are seeing case insensitive. Here you are seeing, okay, starts with S. So this is looking for characters that start with S. And then in case you have multiple line characters, you can check for that. We don't have multiple line characters currently based on what we have set up, so we can't quite check this out now. It's probably when I do a setup for that, we should be able to check that out. So I think we're through with what we have currently from Mongoose. So let me check if I have any other thing else in particular that we could look into. I believe there should be more. Okay. All right. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. I'm going to share a cheat sheet. Okay, I'm going to share a cheat sheet. Expressions with us on the Slack workspace. So if you're watching from YouTube, please do yourself a favor of being on the Slack workspace so that you can be able to see most of the things that we share from there. So I'm going to share a cheat sheet that has in details some of those things that we want to look at. And with that, you should be able to test. So here, we have two cheat sheets. I'm going to just send the link. We have two cheat sheets. This is coming from MDN. Okay, so this is coming from MDN, and another one which you can also use. This is coming from Cheatography. So this is coming from Cheatography, and they basically help you. So let me send this in the chat here. So I'm going to send this here in the chat here so you can easily grab onto this and use this for your own personal study after this class. Where is my chat section? All right, so just copy this, paste the chat section. Okay, so right, all right. So I posted them in the chat section, so you can always try. You can always try this out. So we'll just try a few. Okay, so we'll just try a few from here, and we'll just try a few from here, and we'll call it a day. So the purpose of me trying this is just so that because in some cases, some of the examples they give are not clearly very explanatory for a start. So the basis of me reviewing them here in the class live here is so that you can see them, see how they are used, and then build on them. So you don't just go straight to the implementation they have, which may be tagging on so many patterns together and not know what exactly is the pattern that works. So here, let's look at this. So this one says it matches a word boundary. So this matches a word boundary, and okay, so this matches a word boundary, and this is a position where a word character is not followed or preceded by another word character, such as between a letter and a space. Note that the match word is not included in the match. In other words, the length of the match word boundary is 0. So let's see this example here. We have the forward, the backward slash B, okay, as what is used, and then you have the next word M as what is used in the match. So here, it matches the word moon, okay, in moon, because M is at the end or the boundary here, and it's not followed by or preceded by any word. So here it is not preceded by any N. If you have, so this will match. Now it says here that double O in moon doesn't match because it is preceded by M and it is preceded by N. So it's followed by N. So it doesn't match. Okay. Now OON matches in moon because OON is taken together as one character, and after this character, it has a space. So it is the end of a boundary. So you have something before it, but yes, at the end of it, there's nothing after it. So that is why it works. So let us try this out and see. Let's try this out and see this. So I'm just going to copy this, and this is talking about word boundary. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this out and include this here. So, or let me just put this down here and make this out for you. And we just call this word boundary. It's word boundary, and we see Hicks example that we could use. So word boundary is a backward slash B. It's a backward slash B, and yeah, regular expression. So how do we use this here? Let's say we have backward slash, okay, backward slash B, okay, and I'm not sure you quite noticed, but if you look at, let me increase this a bit. Okay, if you look at my screen, you will notice that this backward slash and E together are a different color from the text and that's to let you know that this here is a special character. Okay, so it is not the same as, it is not taken as part of it. It's only M that is taken as part of it. So, sorry, why? Okay, so let me shrink this back to the better size because it's looking on this too small. All right, it's great. Okay, all right. So let's check what we have available so that what we have matches what we want to look for. So here, let's see. So we're looking for something. Let's use W. Let's use W because we have watch. Okay, we have Z. Let's use Z. Let's use Z because there are not many things here that start or end with Z. So let's use Z. And here, so let's use Z. And the Z is capital letter. So I have to use capital letter Z. But we could easily turn on case insensitivity. So let's just use this for regex. And if it doesn't work, we'll check where it went wrong. Okay, so let me see. It's not quite working. It's not quite working. So let me check what am I doing wrong here that makes it not work. So let me check. I am checking for in name. Yes, I'm checking for in name. Okay, checking for in name and have boundary of Z. Okay, so let me include this. Let me just include this just for purposes of being sure that's not what's causing the issue. All right, so that was what's causing the issue. Okay, so since I didn't include that, that's what's causing the issue. All right, so here I can see here that it's just looking for something that has the boundaries. That, so whether it's starting or ending with Z, that works for it. And let me include I so that it becomes case insensitive. And if you do this now, whether Z is capital letter or small letter, it doesn't mind. Okay, so all right, so yes, it doesn't mind if it's capital letter or small letter. All right, so most of the time when you see first backward slash and B, come on, you then will know that these two are together and B is not part of it. Okay, so these two are together and B is not part of it. So this is just for case insensitivity. And let's go back to where we were. All right, so we were here. So we've done this, we've seen a match for that. And if you want to test it for other ways, you could try different things out. Then it says matches a non-word boundary. This is a position where the previous or next character are of the same type. Either both must be words or both must be non-words. For example, between two letters or between two spaces. At the beginning and end of a string are considered non-words. Okay, the beginning and end of a string are considered non-words, same as the match word boundary. Okay, so the match non-word boundary is also not included in the match. For example, you have B and ON, matches ON in at noon and matches YE in possibly yesterday. Okay, so we'll try that, but I think from here, there's some other way we didn't try, which is here we have the boundary on this side. So we could also do this on this other side. Okay, so let me just duplicate this and just show you that first before we then do the other one to try. Okay, so here we have this on this side. So we could also include this on this side just for clarity, so that you know this is what you're looking at. Okay, so let's just see if that works. If that doesn't work, then you know it's not working. It's not working. So let me see why. Let me just see why it's not working. This is done. Come on, it's not working. We check to see why it's not working. But for the time being, at least we know it's working on one way, and probably I'm mixing things up in the other way. So where were we? Yeah, we were here. We were here. Manzi, you have your hands raised up. You can go ahead.
Okay. It's not working because the /b character is actually at the end of the regex. So more like it's actually looking for a word boundary that actually ends with Z. And since we don't have one that actually ends with Z, that's why the search doesn't bring out the result.
Oh, okay. It's looking for, so this is for the end. So
Yes,
in this case, this is for the word that ends with. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're looking for something that ends with Z rather than something that starts. So when it's before, so let's check that out. Let's check that out if that works fine. That would be great. That works fine. Thanks. So let's check that out. We have something that ends with H. So let's use H on this side. Let's use H on this side. Let's see. Okay. All right. Okay, so we have H, yeah. This works fine. And then let's put H on the other side and let's see if that's the pops up. Okay. Okay, so we have only the ones that have H in the front. So thanks very much. So as we see the position, if it is behind this is for start, and if it is in front, this is for ends with. And come on, that's really funny, bro. Yeah, thanks for that. All right, so let's go on. So we have this here. Then there was one part I wanted to show you. One part I wanted us to look at today. Okay, so here, this part here is for assertions. Just I'm already running late on time. So this part is for assertion, and here you could try to look ahead. Okay, you want to look ahead to see, for example, you want to look ahead to see that X matches only if X is followed by Y. Okay, so X matches only if X is followed by Y, and that is to look ahead. Then you also have, this is now a negative where you want to say only if X is not followed by Y. Then you have look behind, and then also look behind only if it's not matched by. So we just do this. We just do this too, and I think that's fair enough for us to go build up from. All right, so let's look into that. So let's see. So what we're looking for is to look. Okay, this is assertion, and this is look ahead. So I'll just call this look ahead assertion. So for the word boundary, I want to specify. The two different word boundaries, just the purpose of those who will join you later by YouTube, so you can follow from the code base out here. So this is word boundary, and this case here, in this case, I'll just call this case 1. Let's call this one case 1. Word. Okay, word ends with. Okay, word ends with. Okay, so what starts with? Sorry, what starts with, and here we're looking for, like, I just want us to be clear that where we have start with is looking at the sentence, okay, where the sentence or the line starts with. Okay, so that's the difference between the two of them. This one is looking for the word in, if any of the words starts with, So take this out. So any of the words starts with, and then here in this other case, this should be case 2. Okay, so let me say any word. Okay, I think I'll use any word. So that is the clear definition. Any word starts with, any word ends with. So any word ends with, and in this case here, we are looking at it being on this side. Okay, so it's on this side, and let me take out the case sensitivity. I'd like to leave it because people, okay, depends. I just like to leave it for now. At least it's clear here what is particular. All right, so this is for the start as we've seen today, and this is for the end as we've also seen today. So we want to give a shot at this assertion. So I'm going to call this what assertion were we looking at? We're looking at an assertion where a word is followed by. Okay, so followed by. How is it described? There's a particular name in which it was called look ahead. Yeah, so this is look ahead assertion. Okay, so this is look ahead assertion. All right, so this is look ahead assertion, and it's of this form. Okay, it's of this form. So here in this place here, you could have, for example, like a string. Okay, you could have, for example, like a string of a name that you want to check for. Okay, the name that you want to check for. So you might want to check for if something starts with a particular a particular name. So let's say let me say let me look for an example. Let me look for a good example. Let's say you have let me check what we have on this. On all the items, we have Apple, okay, and Smart. We have Apple and airports. Okay, so if we were to look for Apple, we have airports. All right, great. Okay, so here we could try first of all looking for where we have. Okay, so where we have Apple. Okay, where we have Apple. Excuse me. Do I really need this? Let me make this out for now. Where we have Apple, and where we have, now I want to include the next thing. Okay, so I want to include the next thing, which is going to be say question is equal to what you want to follow, airports, or if I spell this right, and I want this to be lowercase so that it's easy for us to search this out. So I'm going to try this out, and let's see how that goes. Let me try this out. Let's see how that goes. So just in case that doesn't go fine, try it again, see what goes wrong. So here we have it. Okay, so we have Apple, where it is followed by airports. So this comes up. Okay, so Apple is followed by airports. If we want to look for it where it is not followed by, okay, so this is to look ahead. So here it is checked in if checks if X checks for where, okay, let's say checks for where X is followed by Y. Okay, so that's basically what that is. So I'm going to do this, take this out. Okay. We then have the next one, which we saw, which is the inversion of it. Okay, so the inversion of it is the negative look ahead assertion. Check for where it is not followed by. So just let's just look at this. Okay, so negative look ahead assertion. Okay, so negative look ahead assertion, as we can see here. And what we'll just be doing here differently is instead of us having this equal to here will just have this exclamation mark. Okay, so instead of us having equal to, we have this exclamation mark, and that should do it. And we should be able to see the other one where we have instead of Apple AirPods, we have smartwatch. And yes, so we can see Apple smartwatch instead of Apple AirPods. So where it is not followed by AirPods is what you're looking at here, and this works fine. And then let's just do the last two. Let's just do the last two, and we should be able to say it's going to be easier reading regex expression. So this is to look behind, and to look behind, we just basically invert the positions that we have. So we don't need to stress ourselves thinking of scenarios that this week will match. So just say look behind, look behind. Sorry, look behind. Why am I have difficulty spelling? Okay, look behind assertion, and it's going to be of this form. And here, basically, I'm just going to swap places. This is still going to be equal to, okay? This is still going to be equal to, then this is going to be less than. I'm just going to swap places. So I'm going to say airports. Let's spell that right. Then I'm going to say Apple. Okay, let's say Apple. And okay, so let's say airport, I'm going to say Apple, and I don't need the space here any longer. Okay, I don't need space here any longer. So I'm going to need space here just in case. I'm going to just start with the space here just in case there may be a need for space. All right, so like so. Let me check. Let me check this out. Space, airports, airports, airports. So let me just check this out. Still not working. So let me check. Let me check. Let me check. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, case insensitive. Yes, Apple AirPods. Yes, yes. Yes. So sometimes you could actually like have this kind of issues. Apart from that, you can also see that you have this or, okay, so you can have like multiple conditions, which we will try after we get this to work. Matches X only if X is preceded by Y. Matches X only if X is preceded by Y. Okay, so let me add space on this airport here. Let me add space on this airport here, just to see if that is a space issue, or if I have to force maybe like a string or something. Okay, still not giving me what I want. Still not giving me what I want. So let me include the string. Shouldn't have to do this. Mendy, yeah, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Like, is it supposed to be before the AirPods, like the bracket Apple before the AirPods, since we are looking at precedent, like AirPods being behind?
Sorry, Joe. I'm coming. The thing is, how do I put it? I swap places, and I'm supposed to just leave it as it was and just change the stuff. So I actually swap places, and I was just thinking about that just now. Thanks. So it was basically about swapping places, because this basically is the same thing. We're looking for where AirPods come behind Apple, and this normally should work, but I noticed there's usually a space issue of times. So that's why I was thinking at first. Or let me see. Apple, yes. AirPods, yes. Let me take the space out. There's usually a space issue and a number of times. This out. So I have a spelling error. Apple, yes. airports. Yes. Let me go back to. Let me go back to. Let me take time to look into this. Let me just take some time to look into this. I'm looking for. Um, I'm looking for where. I'm looking for. Look behind assertion. Okay. Look behind assertion. Matches X, which is what we're looking for. Okay. Come on. Even my setup was wrong. No wonder. Okay, matches X only if X is preceded by Y. Matches X only if X is preceded by Y. I suppose wrong. How did I get it so wrong? Okay. Matches X only if X is preceded by Y. Okay, matches X only if X is preceded by Y. Okay, so Y is inside, and what we're looking for X, which is records, it's supposed to be outside there. I don't know how. I was thinking of something else. All right, where are we? Where are we? Matches X, this is Y, only if X is preceded, if only if X is preceded by Y. You probably have tried this out. Oh, God, it's stressful. You probably have tried this out before now because I know you usually get some issue, space issue, normally, but yeah. So like so. All right. So there's actually like a regex. It's actually a regex to escape space issues. And right now, I can't bring that out from the top of my head. It's actually a regex, a regular expression to escape space issues. Okay. So that that works. Yes, that works. It is actually a regular expression to escape space issues. Right now, I can't bring that out of my head, especially right now. So let's look at not looking behind. Not looking behind. So negative version of it. Negative version of it. Negative look behind assertion. Negative. All right. So negative look behind assertion, as we see here, will just be us having the negative form of this. Where is that? So here, instead of the equals to, is also here saying to not. So that's just basically a difference. And if we do that, it's going to give us the other one where we are having it's going to give us the other one where we're having a smartwatch. Come on. Let me check again. Let me close up this space. And then we put the space here. Oh, come on. Come on. What is wrong here? Yes. Yes. Or yes. Only if X is not preceded by Y. Only if X is not preceded by Y. And that is naturally work. So this is if X is not preceded by Y. Okay, so this is my Y airport, and okay. From the look of things, I'm coming. this likely might not be leading to anything. This likely might not be leading to anything. Okay, so it matches X. Let's go over it again. Let's go over it again. Let's say it matches X only if X is not preceded by Y. For example, matches a number only if the number is not preceded by a minus, but it's not preceded by a minus sign. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is going to match anything, but I was trying to get something that quite matches. So I probably think we'll try some other ways. Maybe first of all, only if X is not preceded matches X, which is Apple. Only if X is not preceded by Y. We'll just try one more way. Question, yes. And if this is not preceded, then probably I didn't understand this well. So we'll just check this out. Let me see what other method we have, or let's say A. Let's say A for instance. I'm not expecting this to return anything. Okay, so it matches. Okay, so in this case, it looks like, so in this case, basically it looks like what it is targeting for any other thing that starts with A, if what is there doesn't start. So this is quite odd. This is quite odd. So probably I'll take my time to understand this, and see. So what this is doing basically is, from what I get, okay, it is basically looking at a particular. Let's go over to what we have here. Okay, let's go over to what we have here. We have here this won't work. 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 Here we have airports. Okay. This will work. This will work. This won't work. Won't work. Won't work. Won't work. I want to select the things that won't work first, and then I'll explain this to you. Okay. All right. All right. So what we are looking at is X, and X is this, and we are looking behind. So we are looking first of all for something that has X, and we are saying if X is not preceded by Apple, then return this. Okay, if X is not preceded by Apple, return this. Now in this case here, we have found something that starts with A that is not preceded by Apple, which is for Rhino. Okay, so look behind is to check if you have something. Okay, look behind is to check if you have something that is not preceded by the X in which you are matching. So the X in this case here is what we have as the airport. Okay, so if I was to say, let's say for example, let's look for other things that have something preceding them. Okay, so all these other ones, they don't work because they don't have anything preceding them. So okay, so G-Wagon has a Mercedes preceding it. So if we were to look for a G, if we were to look for a G now, for example, do we have any other thing that starts with G? No. Let me just reload this whole page so I get all the items. All right. So here we have a Rolex watch. Okay, yes. So we have here a watch. So we can use W. We use W, and where it is not preceded by Rolex, so it should give us every other thing that has, that. So let's do that just so that we can have another clear example. So where W is not preceded by Rolex. Okay. So where W is not preceded by Rolex, return that. That's what we want to use. Where W is not preceded by Rolex, and we are still using this to give us this this should work. Okay, so here we have smart bench watch, and we have the Apple smartwatch, and it's not preceded by anything called Rolex. So that's why that is working. Okay, so it's not preceded by anything called Rolex. And then if we did that with maybe like Apple, for example, let's just try one more example with Apple. Let us try one more example with Apple, just so that we're out of that confusion. I just want to be sure that I didn't by any chance confuse you. All right, so here, running this for Apple, we see here now that in this case here, it's not preceded directly by Apple. So we see that it has smart in front of it, okay? Before, so it's not directly preceded. The same thing. So in this case, it is looking at the direct one. So let me just look at this one just with S, where it's not preceded by X, and that will be the last try we have, just so that we can properly familiarize ourselves and test this, where it's not preceded by S. All right, this up. All right, this should be up. Okay, so, all right, so you see men's watch is out. Okay, so the men's watch is out, and it's looking for things that are directly preceding it. So that's the look behind method, and that's what we have for today. So if there are any questions or any observations, you can drop your observations in the chat. If you have a question, you can raise your hands up, and we'll attend to questions. So I've shared the links to these materials. You can go over them, and believe you me, there's a whole lot more of things to pick out from this. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, just for us to have an interaction based on this to see if this will work, things we could try out, and then build confidence for you to go and try out more things using our regular expressions. So any hands up, any question, any hands up? Any hands up? All right, so I take it that there are no questions for today. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate the efforts, and it's good that we are all learning and picking up. So what we're going to be looking at in the next class, we should be looking in the next 2 weeks. Okay, the next 2 weeks we look at authentication, authorization, and encryption. So how to encrypt password, hash password, and things like that. So if you're already familiar with that, you could just go ahead, prepare ahead of the class. And you could also begin to start working on a group project together. Okay, so I would like you guys to work together on something before you begin to collaborate together, because once we get to that point, we might share you guys into groups and you work on a project. So you might start now to begin to familiarize yourself with working together in a team, pushing works to GitHub, and being able to get things together. So in the next class, we're going to be looking at authentication. You can do well to go learn things ahead of the class. So just in case I have some code errors, you'll be able to be of assistance to help in debugging. So I'm always open to assistance. I'm not a jack of all knowledge, or how do they describe it? Okay, I'm not a fountain of knowledge. I learn these things, and you could also learn and be able to help. So I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks. So we're going to be building a user. We're going to be building a user from next class. We build a user, and from there, we begin to start looking into like authentication, authorization, and hashing passwords. Probably we'll start with hashing passwords first, then we'll move into authentication, authorizations, and from there we'll look into the ways that we could send tokens to the front end. So do we want to send tokens as cookies or sessions? How are they carried out? What are the pros and cons of that? What are the pros and cons of that? And what we should do. So believe in me, things will get better. So let's try to encourage everybody, those who missed today's class, let's try to reach out to them so they could watch the videos, tag along, because if they are your team members and they are lagging behind, then obviously it's going to affect you. So let's try to carry everybody along. Our KodeCamp mentor, Prosper, is not available today, but he's going to be with us in the next class. And also, if you have any issues, you can also still reach out to him. He's very versed with all the things we've talked about. So I look forward to having you guys in the next class. That's a goodbye from me. And I'm going to share all the things we've done so far right away in a GitHub repository. So you could update yourself if there's any aspect you missed out in today's class. So yeah, someone talks about the weekly tax. Yes, the weekly tax is going to be out. Today's Friday. Wow. Okay, so weekly tax is going to be out tomorrow. Sorry for it being late, but I trust you guys will deliver greatly. So I'll see you guys in our next class. Any comments, you can reach out to us, just post it on groups, others can benefit from it. So that's goodbye, and I'll see you guys in our next class. Take care of yourself and enjoy your weekend.
Okay, thank you, sir.